some people may say that kindness is a weakness, and I'd like to firmly reject and disagree entirely, because when we think about what being kind is we are simply giving ourselves to another person, which allows for the opportunity, the vulnerability to be taken advantage of or to be hurt. Now, that is something that only someone who is already strong within themselves is able to bear the consequences of. The people who aren't kind or can't practice kindness are probably the weakest of us all, because there is such a fear, and it may not be their fault. They may have been burnt in the past, and they may have had these different things happen in their childhood or adolescence or moving into adult life that have painted their picture of the world to be a certain color, which is distrustful. And in those kind of circumstances with those people, we can be as compassionate as we can for them, because naturally we wouldn't err on that side. I feel genuinely kind from a fundamental place, from the beginning of who we are, our essence would be to be kind, whereas the only reasons that we find ourselves not wanting to do that is because of some thing or set of things that have happened to us. So we've got to be kind to people that find it difficult to be kind themselves. But aside from wrapping our thoughts up in all of these loops, the fundamental point that I want you to get across here is that the individuals that are able to give to others and open themselves up to be susceptible to being hurt are the individuals that are the strongest among the crowd. Because if we are able to do such a thing, then that means that there must be some fortitude, some kind of resilience within us that can say, yes, I've contributed this, yes, I've done this, yes, I'm generous in XYZ way, and even if it is to go badly, I know that I'll be okay and I'll be fine regardless. There is a opportunity, I think, in almost every situation to pick the kindest option that we can, and that doesn't necessarily mean the softest, fluffiest, most comfortable option either. That is a very important distinction to make, because, for example, the kindest option for ourselves in a particular situation, let's say whether it is sleeping in a little bit extra, or going to the gym, or eating that healthy food and instead of that more junky food. It can be very easy to conflate kindness, or to be kind with ourselves, with this kind of hedonistic ideal of maximum pleasure, which I would like to, again, firmly stamp out that is not the case with what I'm trying to convey here. The kindest option for ourselves a lot of the time in those situations is to do the more difficult thing, is to put in the effort and to go to the gym, do the workout, eat the healthier food, prepare the meals, because, and those are just some examples, very arbitrarily defined, because in those moments we are giving to ourselves what we genuinely need, rather than just what our monkey brain is kind of desiring in the moment. So this kindness is almost a calculated kindness of what will genuinely give us what we're wanting, as compared to just what we're feeling like we would like in the moment, which is a very important distinction. All I'd suggest is what's working for me, and currently that is this kind of ideal, or this goal, this ambition, to be building ourselves up as much as we possibly can, to have such a strong foundation in who we are and what we do and what we stand for, that when we do find ourselves expressing this kindness and giving to different kinds of people in these situations, that it's not so much of a concern that when these people potentially might mistreat that kindness or generosity or whatever it may be, because when we are firm and solid within ourselves, and when we do have this internal fortitude, then it's kind of a non-issue we don't have to forget. We can remember that XYZ person or XYZ situation might not be somewhere we're wanting to devote a lot of our time or resources. But we have to forgive pretty much anything that happens in our lives if we're wanting to move on from it, I feel. And that can be very tough in different circumstances, in different levels of pain and trauma. This isn't to discount anyone's experience or anything that has happened, but if we were to consider what is the best path moving forward for practically everybody as a universal story, is to being able to get that poison that we've been holding on to in our hearts of a particular person or of a particular group of people. To let go of that, to move on from it, is a very difficult but necessary process for our continued, let's say, contentment slash happiness slash fulfillment slash whatever positive emotions get us through the day. And we need to try to develop an intuition for what is the kindest thing that we can do in each moment. And as with most things, this kind of comes just with time and experience and practice. So let's say it's with friends, and we're first meeting them, we're wanting to be able to set up the interaction. We want to set the healthy boundaries from the very beginning so that everyone involved knows what to expect from the interaction and the relationship. Or let's say it's with family, and we're wanting to reassure them that we're going to love them no matter what happens. And especially even with ourselves, we should be able to do what is uncomfortable, but deep down we know is really what needs to happen, be it having a conversation with a family member or a friend that is potentially spiraling in a certain direction, to tell them what we're thinking and feeling that we feel genuinely from our accumulated experiences with them would help, but it might not be the easiest thing to tell them. Or it simply could just be helping our body and minds with practicing healthy habits. And the thing that I feel makes this especially powerful, at least for me, is that once we get that intuition, once we get to a point where we have enough data points, we have enough reference to being able to know what is genuinely going to be helping myself or helping others, then it becomes really magical in that even if we have our old unhealthy habits come up, or we have these old ideas in our mind click over to say we should be doing that instead, we can resolve ourselves to stay certain in the fact that the choices that we are making are giving us the best outcomes we possibly could. This intuition is guiding us towards a life that is not only centered around what will suit us, will make us the happiest, but also includes the loved ones and, again, the general people that we have in our lives around us. So it's, I guess, more inclusive of giving the best kind of experience to everyone in our circle. Not to pander, not to try to force our ideals onto anyone else, because I would never suggest that, but to do those other things, to try to be something for someone else, to try to one-up yourself in a certain scenario, or to simply people please to such an extent that we're trying to win their favor, that isn't being kind. At best, that is being nice. And I feel the problem with the lack of distinction between being kind and being nice is where a lot of confusion can come in. A lot of the time, we hear these stories about nice guys, and we hear these stories about nice girls, or any of these kinds of people that feel a kind of entitlement to the good actions that the good superficial actions that they do for other people. When they aren't reciprocated, these individuals tend to get quite tense and irate at the fact that they haven't gotten their return on investment, let's say. That is not what being kind is. Kind is simply doing the most right thing, most generous thing, most compassionate thing that we can in each situation without expecting anything in return. That, I think, is one of the most important keys, one of, if not the only necessary ingredient to living a good life, to living a life that we can be proud of, because that seems to be one very large tree trunk that has a lot of branching, complementary features that are then able to apply even more of this synergistic improvement of our quality of life. And I suppose you could say that something like gratitude could lead to kindness, and then that can lead to other things, or kindness can lead to gratitude, and all of those kind of different weaving paths. But I feel like to a certain extent they are all connected in different ways, and I guess if you are to come to one first, then that can lead to another, regardless of where the starting point is. But I would say kindness to ourselves, kindness to those around us, is a really good way, a very visceral way. We have a good feedback loop in that interaction that is a fantastic place to start to investigate all of these other further potential behaviors that we would want to embody. So if I had to sum up this whole video in a single sentence, or phrase more so, it'd just be to be more kind. That's going to make our lives better and the people around us lives a whole lot better as well. That is a superpower that I feel is really underrated and underappreciated, potentially undervalued. It doesn't cost us anything. It's not like we have to invest a lot of our time or money or effort or other things into just making a slightly different choice in a moment where we pay a little bit more attention. It can make someone's day, and it can make our day as well. So that is what I'll leave you with. Thank you again. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for being here, and I wish you the very best. Be more kind, and I look forward to seeing you soon. I'm about to take myself out for a nice little movie date. Gonna see Spider-Man again, so I'm very excited for that. But yeah, another little celebration for me to be doing things by myself, for myself. So yeah, there we go. Let's see how it turns out.